This term we're going to be drawing pictures of forces, and they're going to be arrows. That's how you draw a force. And some of them go straight up and down, like a load on a beam, and some of them push or pull at different angles. So it might be a good idea just to review what we know about angles, because this can save you a lot of time when you're drawing things. So, So the first idea is if you've got a 90-degree angle, and maybe this is stating the obvious, but if you've got a 90-degree angle and you know one of the angles, the other angle has got to be 90 minus the first angle. Those two angles together are going to add up to 90, and that can prove useful. Now you know that when a line is stretched out straight, that's 180 degrees, so that can also be real useful. If you know what one angle is, like let's say you got a straight line here and you know one angle is 60 degrees, you know that the other angle makes up the difference between the first line and 180. So these two angles, 60 plus 120, add up to 180. And whatever these degrees are in here, those two angles are always going to add up to 180. Now, if you've got lines that intersect, it's very handy to know that whatever the angle is on one side of those lines, it's equal on the other side of those lines. And here that's true of those acute angles, those small angles, and it's also true of those big flat angles. So if they are angles that are opposite each other, they are the same size. Cool things happen when you've got parallel lines. You can use these all kinds of ways. And one way you can use them, if you know these lines are parallel, and you've got another line at a slope that crosses those parallel lines, that's called a transversal, if you care about that. So if you've got a sloping line that's crossing those parallel lines, this angle under here and this angle under here, those are called corresponding angles, and they are both the same. So if you know one of them and you know those lines are parallel, you automatically know the other one. And those alternate angles, those are called alternate interior, those are equal. And if you think about it, that makes sense because of what you know of supplementary angles adding up to 180 degrees. You could prove this if you were bored and wanted to, but just know that those alternate interior angles are equal. And when you have parallel lines, those alternate exterior angles are equal. And think about what you know about supplementary angles adding up to 180. When you have two parallel lines and a sloping line crossing them, those two inside angles add up to 180. And over here on the other side, if you wanted to look at those two add up to 180 also. So if you knew that this one was 30 degrees and you didn't know the big one, you could figure it out because 180 minus 30 is 150. Last two slides. We'll do some things with triangles. So first of all, you might remember from geometry class, if you took geometry, that in a triangle, all three angles add up to 180. And it doesn't matter what shape that triangle is, they always add up to 180. We'll do a lot with right triangles, which means triangles where one corner, like this corner here, where one corner is 90 degrees. It's a right angle. Well, it's still true that all three angles add up to 180, but if you know that they add up to 180 and this square corner is 90, that means the other two angles have got to add up to 90 also. So there you go. There's a quick review of what we know about geometry. And now there's a short quiz in Moodle that'll give you a chance just to review things you know about geometry, and you'll be all set to go for looking at forces.